The Touran is Volkswagen's car-like 7-seat MPV, and it's competing against the Citroën C4 Picasso and Ford C-Max. Strip it right down though, and what you're left with is the excellent Volkswagen Golf. The third generation model of Touran is larger on the outside, much larger on the inside, and lighter thanks to the new MQB platform. There's 2 petrol and 3 diesels on offer, with the familiar 1.2 and 1.4 litre TSI petrols, as well as the 1.6 and 2 litre TDI diesels. All versions but the top of the range 187 brake horsepower 2 litre diesel can be equipped with either a 6-speed manual or the DSG dual clutch automatic. All are well suited to the Touran, and not even the slowest 108 brake horsepower 1.6 TDI is what you'd call sluggish. The handling isn't exactly fun, but the driving manners are impeccable and wholly consistent. The body is well controlled and the steering direct, and it's certainly amongst the better cars in its class to drive. There are no questions about ride comfort though, which is good even on UK roads. It remains composed and even soft over harsh bumps, and stays settled over scrappier surfaces. There's an optional set of adaptive dampers, but it's good enough for standard to render them moot. It's all very serene in the cabin, well isolated from the outside world. Wind and road noise are at a minimum. The only crack in the armour is if you've selected the 1.6 litre TDI, which can be a little raucous on inclines or when provoked. It doesn't rev too high on the motorway though, so it's not ever present. All Tourans have a seat that adjusts for height and a steering wheel that adjusts for reach and rake, so getting the perfect driving position is an absolute doddle. The seats are comfortable enough, but there isn't a lot of side support if you find yourself pressing on a bit. Visibility is generally pretty good, though you may find it hard to judge the front end at times thanks to thick front pillars. A low window line means that the over-the-shoulder visibility is good, and though the rear pillars are chunky, they're big, square windows either side. Entry-level cars get a touchscreen multimedia system which has DAB and Bluetooth. The system is exactly the same as the one you'd find in the Golf, and like the Golf, it's a little bit fiddly to use the touchscreen when on the move. It's surrounded by handy shortcut buttons that let you quickly switch between functions though, and the on-screen menus are logical. The interior is solidly constructed and well appointed, with a classier look than you'd find in many of its rivals. Soft touch plastics cover the whole of the dashboard and the tops of the doors, and feel as expensive to the touch as VW's smooth leather facings for the primary controls. Every fitting is substantial, robust and ready for the rigours of everyday family life. You're never going to run out of room in the front of the Touran, with ample headroom and legroom even for the extremely tall. The second row of 3 seats is individually adjustable, with seats that slide and recline individually, and there's plenty of head and legroom. It's a little narrow for 3 adult occupants for long journeys though. Like most cars with occasional 6th and 7th seats, the back row in the Touran isn't going to be somewhere that adults will be happy to sit for a very long journey. However, they are amongst the widest and most comfortable seats in cars of this kind, and with the most headroom too. There's no shortage of cubby holes and storage spaces which are dotted around the cabin. You'll lose the 2 in the roof if you opt for the model with the panoramic sunroof, but there's such a wealth of others that you probably wouldn't miss them. With the rearmost seats up, the boot is a little small, but in 5-seat mode there's plenty of space, and it swells to nearly 2,000 litres with all the back seats folded. They all fold flat and can be stowed individually, and with a low boot lip, the Touran becomes a vast and useful van. The Touran is perhaps not as keenly priced as many of its mainstream rivals, but given its qualities, it's certainly good value for money. It shouldn't cost too much to run either, or but the most powerful petrol engine fall into the low tax bands and avoid showroom tax, while the 1.6 litre TDI returned more than 50 miles per gallon in our largely urban test route. Volkswagen typically doesn't perform well in our reliability surveys, normally ending up around mid-table. Despite this, the Touran is largely well thought of, though this version hasn't yet featured in a survey as it's too new. The Touran scored a maximum 5 stars when tested by Euro NCAP, netting 88% and 89% respectively for adult and child occupant safety. All 5 back seats have ISOFIX mounting points, which is rare to find. The Touran hasn't traditionally been a car to excite, and while Volkswagen hasn't added too much of a thrill factor, it's a relaxed 7-seat family car that ticks more boxes than most. It might lack distinctive looks, but it's strong where it needs to be strong and is very much a purchase made with your head. For more information, search for the Volkswagen Touran on whatcar.com, and to keep up to date with all our latest video road tests, click subscribe.